Hello there, lovely people. It's Alex from Nintendo Live here, and as per the title, let me please open by just saying, dear developers, please, 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 consider gyro aiming more. Already, it's a tremendously specific video. Just to clear up any confusion, I recorded this video like an hour before the Direct was announced, so I don't make any reference to Metroid Prime Remastered because it wasn't announced. So if you could do me a favor, and every time I list games or mention games that have like good examples of gyro aiming, if you could pause the video and then say, and Metroid Prime Remastered yourself, and then continue the video, I'd appreciate it very much. So let me give you some background. Just before the weekend, I got a copy of Power Wash Simulator for Switch, and I remember there being something said about gyro aiming in the game, and I was like, excellent. And I didn't even really think about it. I was just like, this is gonna be great, you know, gyro aiming. I've only played it on Game Pass before, and the Xbox famously doesn't support gyro, which is something we'll come back to. So I loaded up the game, I started playing, and I was like, oh, it's not enabled by default. So I went into the options, and there wasn't an option there at all. I have since been informed that they are bringing gyro aiming to the Switch version. It's just not available at launch, but my point still stands. Please let my point still stand. When I first used gyro aiming, and I think a lot of people had this same reaction, I was just like, whoa, this is weird. Why can I not just move the controller without it actually doing something in game? And obviously the first game that I played that used it was the original Splatoon. And I remember it was in 2014 at EGX. I was about to say the last one they did in London. But the last one they did at, I want to say Earl's Court, but I usually get that wrong. I was there with the entire Nintendo Life crew that existed at the time, and it was before I was even a full-time employee, and I was just confused. I was like, whoa, this feels wrong. And I thought to myself, I'm just gonna put a line under it. Gyro's just not for me. And I think a lot of people feel that way as well. And then I got to play the full Splatoon, and I was rubbish with the gyro. And a lot of people, you know, it was the test fire back on the Wii U. In fact, I think I've got my Wii U in here somewhere. Turns out I've got the console and the hard drive, but not the gamepad. You know, the most iconic thing. But over time, I became more and more used to it. And now, frankly, I sometimes struggle to play first-person shooters without them. I mean, I do. I still manage to really enjoy, for example, Halo, but Power Wash Simulator, it's a bit stiff. You know, sort of the movement isn't ideal. It's a much smaller game, obviously, than something like Halo. Halo has put all this, you know, sort of development time into making the controls feel super perfect, because that's what Halo is known for. That's what Halo is known for. Also, the engineers. Those are the two things. And then I got myself a Steam Deck. And if you don't know, a Steam Deck has support for gyro aiming. You know, it's got a gyroscope, accelerometer, all that good stuff that makes gyro aiming work. And you can't play Game Pass games on it natively, but you can play them over the cloud, which is less than ideal. But it gave me an idea, because not only does it support it, it supports kind of getting around a game not having gyro aiming. What you can say to the system is, hey, treat the gyro aiming as the right thumbstick. I think I've just turned it on. I'm still playing Dune. Day 100, and there are very few Harkonnen fortresses left. And what that means is that you can load up an xCloud game like Halo Infinite, and you can use the gyro, and it will tell it they're using the right thumbstick. I promise. And as a result, you've got blinking gyro aiming in Halo Infinite, and let's just say it's a bit good. I mean, it's not perfect because it's emulating the right thumbstick rather than being a native gyro aim-based system. But my god, even though it's a little bit wobbly at times, it just felt so right. It just felt so right. That technically wasn't even the first game I tried this on, though. No, I tried it on Splitgate first, and yeah, similar results. I was wiping the floor with people. And I don't know whether it's because I've basically never played the game before and I went in with an immediate advantage, you know, being familiar with motion controls, or gyro aiming. I need to get that distinction down. But I was making bank, and with any luck, I'll even have some footage to show you. I've saved some things, some clips, but I'm not familiar with Splitgate. I don't know how it's gonna work, and it just made me want gyro aiming to become way more of a standard. A standard option, because I'm well aware that there are people out there who even play Splatoon 3 without gyro aiming enabled, and you know what? I wipe the floor with all of them, obviously. But if that's how someone wants to play the game, who am I to tell them, no, you absolutely should? It's like, I think you will have a better experience if you do, but if you really don't like gyro aiming, I'm not gonna say you absolutely have to use it. You know, you enjoy the game how you want to. That's what, you know, remapping and stuff is all about. Remapping's a topic for another time. That's why I've got this in the background. It was the closest thing I could think was related. Gyro aiming can also be an accessibility problem if it's mandatory, in the same way that anything that's mandatory can be an accessibility problem, but also it can be positive for accessibility as well, I'm sure. I'm sure there are plenty of people out there for whom motion aiming is a lot easier than using the right stick. And I think I know why it's not a standard. I didn't even allude to it earlier. I basically just spelled it out. The Xbox doesn't support it. Well, I say it doesn't support it. There are some sort of workarounds and things like that. And, you know, if you Google Xbox gyro aiming, you'll see all these people saying, oh yeah, you can do it. But it involves numerous steps, because within the Xbox controller, as far as I'm aware, there is no accelerometer, there is no gyroscope. So it doesn't have the ability to put those inputs in. I think all the things saying that it makes it work is like using a peripheral or an accessory or some mad workaround. But the base Xbox controller, and as far as I'm aware, the Elite as well, they don't have those bits of technology in them, or if they do, they've got them turned off, which would be mental. Now, Xbox is not the biggest player in the field when it comes to gaming at the moment. They are still a big part of it, but they are not the leading. That's getting fuzzier every year, I feel, but I think it's still generally accepted that Sony is kind of leading the way. You can make the argument for Nintendo as well, but they're kind of doing their own thing. Not like Nintendo has ever done anything just to go against the grain. And the PS5 does have the ability to have gyro aiming, but not a lot of games utilize it. And I think because there's this want to be this uniformity between games, and it always ends up being the weakest system. Again, Nintendo's an exception. Nintendo's doing their own thing. People aren't going to make games and, you know, make a Series X game and a PS5 game look like a Nintendo Switch game because the Nintendo Switch exists. It's going off in its own direction. So what they do is they take, you know, all the different elements from the other consoles, the other two consoles, so they don't include gyro aiming. I mean, I believe some do. I believe Modern Warfare 2, not to be confused with Modern Warfare 2, I believe that has gyro aiming, but I can't check that for myself because I have no interest in Call of Duty. But I can fully understand how, certainly with things like cross-platform play, you don't want to give people who own one system an inherent advantage. And gyro aiming is an advantage. It is more precise than using a flippin' stick. So I suppose my begging is twofold. On the one hand, developers, please, please, please include gyro aiming in games wherever possible. Like, it's not even just shooter games that benefit from it. I mean, Breath of the Wild has gyro aiming, and it's amazing. Do you think you could do all those shield bounce boing boings and shoot across the map at 4,000 kilometers an hour without it? Maybe, but it would be harder. Flippin' heck, I mean, even Doom has gyro aiming on the Switch. It's amazing. I don't even know if it's available on the PS4. I've got a copy. I could check, but I've only just thought of it. And then the other leg of my argument is Microsoft. Why the hell do you not have a gyroscope and accelerometer in your Xbox controller? It's only ever an option. You know, I don't think motion aiming or gyro aiming, for goodness sake, Alex, I don't think gyro aiming should be mandatory. I've said that before in this video, and I will say it until I die. I think that when it comes to anything like this, it should be an option. Absolutely. So why not just include it so it can be an option? You're artificially limiting yourself, and you're stealing gyro aiming away from all the lovely people who are dying for it. And think of how fantastic Halo Infinite would be if you had gyro aiming and more content. Gyro aiming is a good. I love it. Thousands of other people, probably millions of other people love it. In fact, almost certainly millions of other people, because Splatoon. Let's make gyro aiming a standard. It's 2023 for blinking's sake. Heck, whoa. We don't need to be stuck with thumbsticks. We've got far better technology. And it's called going like this. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, then why don't you grab that subscribe button by the sides and be sure to check out NintendoLife.com for all sorts of lovely Nintendo-related content. Thank you again for watching. Bye-bye. Steam Deck video when? Maybe sometime.